So do you ever find yourself saying things like, I don't have time for that, or I remember when, or I used to do that, but I can't now? I remember when I first became a dad, I used to do things that I enjoyed very often. Working for myself, being an entrepreneur, running multiple businesses can be challenging, and there's a lot of push and pulls on our time. And often a measure of success is how busy we are. Well, I've been doing a lot of reading and exploring about self-development around my time management, and hopefully sharing some ideas with others who I see struggling. They're busy, they're tired, they're overwhelmed, they're pushed apart from different roles and responsibilities. I'm delighted that I've got a guest today who has literally written a book on time management, but not just any old book. My guest managed teams of up to 40,000 people across the globe in one of his roles that he's going to share his experiences about, and his lessons on time management are pretty much second to none. In fact, so much so I'm loving the book second time over and taking some practical skills from it to handle my time better as we move forward, not only in a professional sense, but for at home as well. And it's that topic and that context that we're going to discuss in the next half hour or so, about how we can better manage ourselves, the value of time, procrastination, what stops us, and things that might steal our time moving forwards. Lee Cockerell is the former Executive Vice President from Walt Disney World. Lee, welcome along. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. It'd be great to get, I guess, a potted history on your professional experience, because it is varied, successful, influential. Read the above, and let's see where we're at. Good afternoon to you.
I'll give it to you quick. I got out of the Army in 1964, joined Hilton Hotels as a banquet waiter, and I got promoted a few times with Hilton over the 8 years I was there. I was in Chicago, the Waldorf Astoria in New York, Los Angeles Hilton, and I first worked in the food and beverage operations, and I got into the finance area, accounting, as a clerk, and kind of learned what I was doing. And then my boss left one day and I got promoted and got a bigger job in accounting. And then I worked at all these great hotels. I departed. I mainly focused on food and beverage, restaurants, catering, all that kind of stuff. And 1973, I joined Marriott, and I became eventually the food and beverage vice president for food and beverage planning for the company for worldwide. And I got picked for that because I had by then become an expert in food and beverage by doing it. And I tell everybody today, you want to be successful, become really an expert in something, whatever it is. Make sure you're the better than everybody else. And that takes work. You gotta stay on it. You gotta be interested in it. You gotta get the experience, the education, the exposure, and it's a tough business. So I did that for 17 years and got recruited by Disney in 1990 to go to France, open Disneyland Paris. Did that for 3 years, and I came back to Orlando, and I was in charge of all operations at Walt Disney World for about a total of 13 years. And then I retired and started this little business. And I've been teaching time management for years at Marriott and Disney, because it may be the most important thing to you when you realize what you're not doing and what you could be doing. And time management is not it's not something, it's learned. I think this is what people got to realize. I think people think, well, there's just the way it is, and I can't, it's too much coming at me and all. No, it's learned, and that's why that book is going to be important to you. And I would even say get the book so you can look at the pages of how you lay out a plan and how you lay out your planner and go through that. The audio is okay, but I think you won't get the full viewpoint for whatever that thing costs. And I can tell you, two things that are going to make you successful in life. One is attitude, and the other is reliability. And if you're not reliable, you're finished. It doesn't matter how good you are, how an expert you are, how good you think you are. Reliability, and the rest can be learned, whether you're in the IT business or marketing or sales or becoming a doctor. Reliability, and we all know what that means. We all know people who we don't find very reliable. They want to be, but they're just overwhelmed with life. And That's why a system is so important. You know, really at the end of the day, when you have a system, things work better. You do it, it's routine, you learn it, it becomes the way you do. And whether you're an airline pilot taking off, you got a system. There's a way to do it. And there's a way to do everything. There's a Marriott way, Disney way, there was the Army way, and most people don't have a way for their personal life. They just go through life being overwhelmed, anxiety, even leading to depression today, all the pressures of life and all. And so I tell you, here, a quick time management course. If I had to tell somebody in a few words, here's how you do it. First, you get a planner. You buy yourself a planner. You can use paper, you can use your phone, whatever works. Here's the one I use. And it's every day I have a planner. It's been in my pocket for 35, 40 years. And I get up every morning, I go for coffee, I sit there and I think about first I think about yesterday, what I didn't do so well, what I should have done, something I missed. Overnight I thought about it, or you know how we do when you sit quiet. And I put it in there to get fixed today. And then I think about the responsibilities I have in my life. And I think that's the first thing people ought to do is decide what responsibilities do they have. Okay, you're married, or you got a partner, you got children, you got parents, you got grandparents who are going to need care and they're getting older, and you're going to have to figure out how that's all going to work in the family. You've got your career to stay on top of and keep learning and being on top of that. You've got your finances, your retirement one day, your health, it goes on and on and on. And most people are not putting enough time against each of those so that they come out right at the end. And so I sit and think about my life. I think, okay, do I need to do anything for my wife today? If I do, I put it in there. Or tomorrow, or next week, or next year, or maybe I think about something all right now for Christmas already. Thinking ahead, anticipation. Thinking about yesterday is reflection. You reflect on it, you try to get better every day. And then the other thing is anticipation. What should I be doing now that'll pay off later? And so that goes in as I think of those things. It may be write a note to somebody. It may be get in touch with my lawyer to talk about my will. It might be stop by my bank and talk to them about something. All these things, you have many. They're your responsibility. The point is, if you don't do them, they're not going to happen. And you're going to have regrets that you're not on top of it. So you got to think about what are they and list them, and maybe sit down with your wife first and what kinds of things should we be doing now? You know, what's easy to understand is like exercise pays off later. Getting your annual physical, seeing your doctor pays off later when you don't get something because they catch it early. Sitting down with your employees and having a chat with them about their career and tell them how much you appreciate them and making sure you understand their aspirations. That pays off later. You have lower turnover, people stay with you. Everything you do can make your life better. And if you don't do it, it can make it worse.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, isn't it, Lee, listening to you speak, how sort of obviously disciplined you have been from your days in the military and obviously through your very successful professional career. Discipline doesn't necessarily sound exciting. And I think we speak to so many people who just want to get busy now. Like you said, the payoff is later. The payoff is almost down the line. Yeah. And getting busy is almost like a seal of approval, or I am successful because I am busy. What do you say to people?
The problem is you got to think about, first of all, nobody cares what happens to you. So you do whatever you want. But I'm going to tell you, the reason people don't do these things is because the important things are hard. Exercise is hard, so people don't do it. Having a hard conversation with an employee about their performance, people put that off. It's hard. People, they think they're too busy to go see their doctor, so they end up getting bypass surgery, and then they're in the hospital for a long time. It's thinking about when something's hard, it's probably the right thing to do. When something's the right thing to do, it's almost always hard. And you said it, discipline's the name of the game. If you don't have it, then your life's going to be screwed up. You can figure out how to get it. We can only teach you a system. I can't make you do it. And that's discipline. You got to have discipline. Say from now on, when I'm going to put in my calendar that I'm going to work out 3 days a week, and I'm going to schedule it, and I'm going to have a trainer, and I'm going to meet them at 9 o'clock on these 3 days. Scheduling the priorities in your life are one thing that is really a good technique, because it forces your calendar to do what you said you wanted to do. If you say you want to spend more time with your wife after the end of the week, then you schedule a little dinner and a drink somewhere every Friday night. And you go ahead and tell her that now. And then you schedule it, and then it'll happen. If you want to have your medical checkup every year, then you schedule it. And when you leave that checkup, you schedule the next one before out, or you put it in your day planner over next September to do it again. I mean, this is just a system. I put in my planner what I want to do. I try mostly to schedule it if I can. It's a schedulable thing. I block out dates if I want to take my kids 3 months from now for a weekend camping trip. I would go on ahead and, oh, that's good, I'm going to do that, and block those days out. So I don't have anything in there. I'd go ahead and tell the kids we're going to do that, put the anticipation on, and you got to you just got to get committed to not taking the easy way. The easy way is if you don't do the hard things, like it's hard. That's all. That's it. And by the way, and I'd say it again, nobody cares about you. You screw up, you have a screwed up life, nobody cares. Maybe your mother. And that's what people, you can do whatever you want. And that's what people have to decide. Whatever you do, you do. And then people say, well, I'm busy and life's hard, and well, that's right. And it's going to get harder.
Not planning enough, right?
It's going to get a lot harder.
Yeah.
When you don't have any money, and your wife left you, and the kids are.
Well, these are real outcomes, aren't they? If we aren't holding that discipline and ownership over our own time. There's a couple of bits I just wanted to pick up on that. You obviously have been running this system for so many years now, and you've shared it across many thousands of people. Do you find it removes any spontaneity, or do you almost leave bits of your diary or your planner blank just because something exciting might happen? Or are you?
Some days I don't do anything. I do whatever I want. Take a nap, or
But you don't plan to have a nap necessarily.
I say, you got to schedule the things you want to do in your planner. If you don't want to do them, don't put them in there. If you don't want ownership, you don't want to exercise, don't put it in there.
Yeah.
Spontaneity. Yeah, you may have. It has nothing to do with that. It's making sure that you know what's really important in your life. And you maybe write it down, look at it, and say, really? Am I going to have enough money to retire? Am I learning enough to stay ahead in this career? Should I take a course next month? Should I sign up for this or that? And you do it. And then, is it hard to go? Yeah, you got your family, your kids, your work, and you got to go to this class. But then it's over, and then it pays off. If you don't do it, well, there you are. And that's the problem. You got to get really disciplined about where you spend your time, where you don't spend it. You got to think about what you're doing, what you should stop doing. And if you got a wife, and you talk to them about it. How can we get this together better and understand that? And usually when a family has bad habits, it's in the family. It's like whatever it is, you get used to it. That's the problem. You can get used to anything. Then you start to think of, well, that's just the way it is.
That's just how it is.
Nothing's the way it is. Things are only the way you personally let them be. So if you don't want to exercise, that's your fault. That's not my fault. That's your fault. If you have somebody working for you and they're not performing, and you don't have a difficult conversation with them, that's your fault. If you hire the wrong person, that's your fault. If you don't fire them, that's your fault. If you don't go to the doctor, that's your fault. If you don't, everything is basically your fault. If your wife's not happy, it's probably your fault. If your kids don't feel like you spend enough time with them, and they're not feeling secure and self-confident, believing in themselves, and feeling loved, that's your fault. People grow up with that feeling, because we didn't do what we should have done back then when we should have done it, because there's kind of a timeline on some things. When your kids, somebody said the other day, for the first 5 years, love your kids to death. For the next 8 years, discipline them and teach them all the right things. And then after that, be their best friend, because you can't do any more after that. They're already set emotion.
Yeah.
And, you got to think about what you do, what you don't do, what you should be doing. What date, when are you going to talk to them about the birds and the bees? Don't look, you got to think every day about what's my responsibility. What's your responsibility to your parents as they get older? What's your responsibility to your grandparents if they're still living? Does the family talk about this? Do we have a plan so there's not a big surprise and we can all figure out how we're going to do it together? This is just, I would say, first make the list of what you believe the responsibilities are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And those are probably family, profession, health. You can decide what they are. What they are. And occasionally you think about that you're not doing anything about them and they're going to get away from them.
So how do you split your time and your planning in terms of short, medium, and long-term goals? So if you want to plan for your retirement, for me, that's still 25 years away.
Yeah, so I'd be putting money in the bank every week.
But how do you define so we don't spend all our time focusing on long-term visions, but we have to focus on the short? Is there a sort of ratio that you think, okay, well, I'll focus on, I don't know, 10% of my week on long-term, but 90% of my week is going to be short-term this week? Is there a ratio that the system helps plan that out?
No, I think mine becomes pretty much habits. I kind of have a routine. I get up in the morning, I go for coffee, I do the planning, we're at my coffee place, I take my computer, I use their website, I go through my email, I get in touch with somebody's waiting for me, or I have to confirm a client or kind of stuff like that. I did it this morning. I'm back here now, and I still got a half a day left. And I had a call scheduled with you, and I got another call at 2:00 that's scheduled. Longer term, we've scheduled an appointment with our lawyer in August when we get back from vacation to make sure our trust and wills are all done. I have already had my appointment for my next annual physical. I have my appointment with my dentist. I have when my car's due, I write it in there. I call the guy, take it in. I basically make sure that I'm on top of everything, that I don't have any anxiety and have trouble sleeping because I'm worried about something.
Yeah.
If I have a problem, I deal with it. And I don't go to bed letting it linger. And I think that's one of the problems. People don't want to take action. Sometimes you're going to have to deal with your kids sometimes at 2 a.m. because something's going to happen as they get to be teenagers. Or you don't have any choice.
Yeah.
And the better job you do of being clear with them about expectations, ethics, honesty, telling the truth, doing the right things, role modeling so they see you. You won't have those calls at 2 a.m. You'll have less. I mean, the more you exercise, the less time you have to go spend in the hospital or take medication or all the kinds of things that happen because you don't do something.
Yes.
Just think of the things that are going to happen. Think about your life 5 years from now in every aspect of your life right now. Based on what you're doing right now, what's your health going to be like in 5 years? Think about what your marriage going to be like in 5 years. What are your kids going to be like in 5 years? What's your savings for what's that going to look like in 5 years? Start thinking out, if I don't do something, nothing's going to change. You can't hope things get better. You got to do it. And that's the problem. I would say 80% of people don't do it. They're going to do it. It's Christmas again. They think about it, but they don't have the discipline to do it. They, instead of sitting down and making a plan for their parents, they go have lunch and take a nap. And then another day goes by, and then another day goes by, and another day. And then there's a lot of people that can't deal with hard things. It's just they just don't have that. I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't, it's my sister. No. If you don't do the hard things, I'm going to tell you, man, you pay and life doesn't care. You get what you deserve based on what you do. And it's that simple, you know. It's like when you go to the airport, you get there in time for the plane to take off. You don't miss those flights. You know, if somebody's got we're never late for the good things. Things that are fun. You know, we're late for we put off procrastination. You know the number one reason for procrastination? People not sleeping well. They get up, they don't feel well. So next thing you know, the day gets away. You don't do much. You don't do hard things because oh well, I'll do it later.
I'll take it easy. I'm tired.
Yeah. And then so then and it's kind of it's caused by people not understanding why they don't sleep well. If you don't sleep well, there's a reason. There's a reason. Either you ate too late, you ate too much, you went back for the third meatball, you drank too many glasses of wine, you didn't drink enough water yesterday, the room's not cold enough, the room's not dark enough, you're having an emotional issue, keeps you awake because you had an argument with your wife or something. There are reasons. And I'm telling you, if you think about it, when you wake up in the morning, why you did not sleep well last night, you could figure it out. I quit drinking alcohol 100% because I sleep like a baby now. I need 7 or 8 hours sleep every night to have the energy. I'm going to be 80 next year. I got to keep that energy level going, and that's how you do it. And without energy, you will not do the important things in your life. They'll get away from you because, and I would say a lot of people are suffering from anxiety, not getting enough sleep, overeating, not exercising, worried about their life because they just worry about it instead of doing, and because the payoff is not right now. They want an ice cream cone now, but if you eat ice cream every day, but 10 years, you're going to probably die early. So this is what you got to understand. There is a consequence for what you don't do. And by the way, you and your wife can sit down and figure out what you ought to be doing, what you should not be doing. And you'll figure it out. What is the value of what you're doing at any moment? What is the value? Are you investing in yourself? That'll pay off later. You'll get a better job. You make more money. You spend a lot of time with your kids and develop them and spend time with them, make them feel loved. You won't have to spend time putting them in rehab or all the things that kids get in trouble for because you do the right things back here. And that's a key. Don't, they say buy a fire extinguisher before the house catches on fire. Exercise before you go for bypass surgery. Get your health checkup before you have had cancer for 3 years and didn't know it. These are real. This is just real stuff. And
it's often things we don't see until it's too late, right? And there's a couple of points just around the value of time you were mentioning there. Do you think people throw away their time because, one, they don't have a clear enough vision, and two, would you recommend, based on what you just said, that we almost have a pound or a dollar figure in our head to what our time is worth in a day to help us make better decisions around it?
Yeah, I don't think so much. I think investing in yourself, which is your health, your knowledge, so you can get a better job, you can do more. You got to know more to be more and do more. And the things that pay off, the money is kind of the payoff for doing those things. That comes if you do the right things. If you become an expert in something, you're going to make more money. If you're healthy, you're going to be a better leader. You're going to have a better attitude. You're going to take on more responsibility. Stress is not going to bother you. So you got to think about money as kind of a outcome,
like
of
a byproduct almost of
just
something.
a byproduct. Yeah. If you think about the money, then you'll be doing the wrong things. You won't get enough sleep. You'll be working till 3 a.m. You'll be running around it because it's kind of improving. I tell you 3 things: knowledge, whether it's college or whether it's your self-imposed by reading and going to seminars and going on Wi-Fi and podcasts and all. That's 1, education. 2, experience. Go do it. And that burns it in your brain. Now you've done it. And last, exposure. expose yourself to all kinds of people, religions, background, every. Just as I said, I love everybody. Nobody bothers me because I've been exposed. I left Oklahoma, which was a little racist, bigoted place, and I've been to 45 countries. I know people all over the world. I don't ever have any anger problems about people. I could care less. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care about anything because I've had exposure. Exposure changes you. Experience changes you dramatically. Knowledge changes you. I read every night for 30 minutes. And I always have a book. So at the end of every month, I know more than other people.
Yeah, you know that much.
And I get a lot of experience.
Yeah.
I travel and I go and I do things on purpose and just to try them out. And I go to museums and look around for ideas and think for me, and maybe I got OCD, maybe, I don't know, but I need to be busy and I like to do things. I like to help people. I like doing this for you. I like this.
It's a nice way to give back.
I would say that be a teacher. Be a teacher in your life, because there's only two things you are every day. You're either a student, which you are today, and tomorrow you'll be a teacher. Whatever you learn today, you can teach tomorrow. And so you got to be learning something. And there's the day you figure out how much you don't know, you'll be shocked.
Yeah,
because none of us know so much. It's not even funny. And so we got to zero in on what we want to be known for. What legacy do you want to leave, and how do you want your kids to feel when they're grown up, and about their dad, and that you all spent the right amount of time together, and you quit doing something else. You can pick your kids, or you can pick the football game. Which one? Or you pick the football game and take the kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd take my eldest to the football game.
Yeah, those are things they never forget for the rest of their life. These are things that really burn that appreciate love into them. And you'll look back and not have regrets. A lot of fathers and mothers have regrets. They didn't spend any time with their kids. They didn't tell them every day how much they love them. They didn't discipline, so the kids grew up knowing to do the right things and be ethical and honest, and all of these. I tell people, every time you come into contact with a human, you are teaching. The way you walk into the room, who you speak to, how you look, friendly, we're always teaching. And you see some people walk into a room, you don't like them. You see others walk in, you're glad to see them.
And why? They light up the room, right? Yeah.
You know the difference. Yeah. And so you've got to think, I would think the most important thing is think about what you're doing you don't need to be doing, just wasting time. Or something you could pay somebody to do so you had more free time. Or time. Just keep that clock running. That clock is ticking, baby. And it runs out.
Yeah, and we don't know when. And that's the problem. People realize too late, don't they? I'll do it tomorrow. The mañana mentality. It's it'll work itself out or something. And you mentioned about procrastination. I think in your book you reference it or question it. Is it a character flaw? I'd be interested to know about a definition around procrastination. Why is it a risk? Do you think it's a risk? And what are the key traits around it, so we can?
I think procrastination's putting off what you don't want to do, what you should do. Which is hard usually. Why do people procrastinate on exercise? They know they ought to do it. Why do people procrastinate sitting down and having a talk with one of their employees about their performance and their attitude? Because we don't like to have those conversations. Those are not fun. And I work with a Brazilian group, and they're even worse. They don't like to talk to anybody about anything bad. They just want to get along. They got a mess. So these are the things you just have to think about. Procrastination is when you know you need to do it. And matter of fact, you usually plan to do it, but now it's time to do it. You don't do it.
Push it away.
You just don't do it. Yeah. It's lack of discipline. And the more you force yourself to do it, like exercise, in a month, it won't be hard anymore. It's like brushing your teeth. You just do it. It's like, whatever it's getting routine in your life is really quite productive. And you and your wife talking about things that, or how you spend your time, and how you should stop spending your time. People in your life that you ought to quit associating with because they're bringing no value to. Sometimes it's family members, you know, that are just, there's no value there, and they're unreasonable. And you got to do you and your wife. You and your wife are the most important people in your kid's life. Nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, you've spoke a lot about sharing goals and sharing visions, and I assume the answer is yes, but there must be an inherent value in sharing a goal because it helps you get things done more. It helps you be accountable.
Would you? Does. If you got something hard, tell people you're going to do it. You know, and so I tell people that are overweight, I said, tell people I'm going to lose 30 pounds by January 1st. Put it out there and then find a way to do it. Make sure you're scheduling to go to the gym, get better food in your fridge so you don't have it. If you need to go see a psychiatrist about your problem, whatever you got to do, because most things take 7 days, 30 days, 40 days. You got to do it every day, and then it becomes a habit. And it's a good habit. And you've got, by the way, we've all got bad habits and good habits. And you can decide which one is really serving you and which one is not serving you. Think about how you spend your time. And also, I said to people, you know, if you wake up in the morning and you don't, and you're not happy, have that conversation. Why aren't you happy? Are you don't like your job? You don't like your boss? You don't like, I don't know, but there's a reason. If people are not happy, there's a reason. And you got to put that reason in your planner and make it go away, not live with it.
And internalize it, because that creates anxiety, which makes you sleep less, which makes you procrastinate more. And
exactly. And by the way, humans have no problem figuring it out if they want to while they're not happy. I tell some of them, maybe you need a new wife, a new boss, a new dog, a new job. But why are you not happy? You got to have it. You got to be honest with yourself, or you won't deal with it. And then and by the way, you'll get angrier, and you'll have a worse sleep. And then you'll have you got to deal with things when they have to be dealt with. You know, when you go to the emergency room right away, you don't wait 3 weeks. When you have a problem, you go do it now. And that's kind of a concept I have too, is do it now. Force yourself to do it now. Just pick one or two things right now you hate to do, you don't want to do, you should do. And by next week, do them both and see what happens, even though you're going to hate it, because you're going to feel better after you do it.
Like, it's a good challenge for people.
Off is really torture on our brains and on our system.
Which probably affects the happier things you should be doing as well, right?
It's huge. It flows one into the other. When you do that one, then it's easier to do the next one. Then it's easier. And once you get to saying, I'm going to do the right thing, I don't care what people think. As long as it's right, I'm going to do it. That's their problem, not my problem. You know, I've told people, nobody can make me angry. You can you tell me I'm an idiot. I don't, that's your problem. I don't care. I don't have to react to that. You can drive crazy drivers running around me and going around. Hey, be my guest. I don't care. I'm not going to get my blood pressure up. And all these things damage you physically and mentally. And then, these people. How many people do you see every day that are angry? Everybody's angry. There's a reason.
Is this something that only comes from experience, Lee? Can you tell a 21-year-old to just let things go by, to not react? It must take practice, right? It
takes thinking about it.
Why
would I want to get angry? Why do I want to screw up my life about what somebody else did? Anger is one of those. You ever have things you wish you hadn't said it? So I think about it a lot. I think about it. Even with my marriage, my wife said, I don't make her angry anymore. I don't aggravate her. And she said, how do you do that? I said, I think about it a lot, because it was me. It wasn't you. And I just let it go. And the more you let it go, she annoys me several times a day, but I don't say anything. And the more I don't say anything, we don't have arguments, and then it gets easier for me. I just, okay, she's good, she's great, I love her. She's annoyed about something, but she's not going to get me annoyed, because then we'll have a fight, and I'm not going to go to battle with my wife.
So it's
let
just
it
a
go,
decision.
let it go. You know that song from Frozen? Let it go. And that's what you got to do. You know what things trigger you. What triggers you? Well, you start knowing in advance. And you know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But when it happens, you've already thought about it. You plan it in your brain. I'm not going to overreact to this, and you'll get better and better and better at it. And your kids, they're going to aggravate you. Don't say the wrong thing. Don't, scare them. Don't intimidate them. Just sit quietly and have a little conversation with them. But overreacting is, I think half the people in the world got high blood pressure right now, because they're letting other people trigger them.
Yeah.
Don't let people trigger you. Don't let them trigger you. In fact, when you're quiet and composed, that's scarier for them. That's even scarier. And probably when you're silent and serious, they're probably more scared than if you're mad.
Yeah. They want a response then. It's like, what have I done? He's silent. I need a response.
Yeah, if you sit and say that you really disappointed me, I hope we can work on this, because I know you're better than that. And that's different than screaming and yelling and going crazy when they don't even know what's going on. Stop. It's always the same. Just calm. Control. You got, the saying about time management. Manage yourself. Manage yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about what you're doing. Manage yourself, because you're the only person you can control. Don't try to control your wife. Don't try to control. All you can do is teach, but you can't control. Women are not, right now in the U.S. and around the world, men are trying to control women, and it's not going to go well for the men. It's just a matter of time until this thing gets. Women are fed up, and why should we be trying to control them? For what? Control yourself. That's hard enough.
Yeah.
Be clear with yourself about what things you need to do better. Have a conversation. What do I need to do better? Or what do I do that I wish I hadn't done? I don't want to do. And I'm going to get somebody in your life that you're not getting along with. Call them up this afternoon and say, hey, we need to get back together. I don't know how that happened. Let's have a coffee. Let's put it to rest.
Well, I think people have drifted, haven't they? They've become very digital. They hide behind screens. Relationships drift. It takes time to manage, and we get too busy. So we choose, I guess, to let things go. I guess the theme of the conversation is ownership, responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, you just got to say, okay, guys, let's go. With your kids, they're going to be on the screens. You just got to tell them, okay, put them down. We're going to the park, play some soccer. We're going to play some football.
I'll tell you what, the screen time thing is an absolute nightmare for the kids these days. You cannot stop them engaging on screens. It is you can, I guess. It's the hardest thing, I think, to being a parent in this modern era, is getting them off screen.
I'd say with kids, you just got to have a few rules. Like they're going to be on it, but you got to say, okay, we never do it after 6 o'clock, or we don't do it at dinner, or Wednesday is fun day. We put them away and we all go to the park and we play ball and frisbee and whatever. And they'll start looking forward to that too. Or I'll take you bowling, or I'll take, whatever. It's just a matter of, I mean, we're all addicted. I'm addicted to my phone, but I put it down about 2 hours before I go to bed. It never goes into my bedroom, ever, ever, ever. I said, my phone sleeps in a different room than me. And it's just putting some guardrails around it. Will your kids be happy? No, at first they won't, but they'll get over it. They won't like you. Well, they'll get over it in a few days. And put something in there in between. Valerie and Daniel, my son, they used to have a picnic on Thursday nights. They put a blanket on the floor, and the kids had to watch French TV so they could learn to speak French. And the kids thought it was great,
Yeah.
But there was a alternative to getting them to,
Yeah.
and so you can figure out things, and you're not going to make you're just never going to get over it because the screen time has become.
Well, it's ingrained in our lives, isn't it? Yeah, you can't stop it. It's
got to put yours down too.
Well, exactly, and I think kids role model that, don't they? It's the amount of times I told them to get off a screen just as I'm checking my emails. Yeah, the irony around that isn't lost, and I think
everybody put their phone in a basket and have dinner together. It has to be a rule. That has to be your rules, and as I said, kids don't have to like it. As my mother would say, you don't have to like it.
Yeah, because we're grown-ups.
Yeah, you don't have to like it.
Yeah, exactly that. So, Lee, listen, it's been fascinating listening and learning from your experiences around time and leadership and self-discipline, which is certainly a theme for our conversation. I mean, in the theme of time management, if there was a quick tip or a quick win or something we could start to check in with our awareness around where we're spending our time, what would you tell someone who's struggling at the moment, who's saying I used to, or I'm too busy? What would you say to get started around
I would just take a pad and sit down and think about it and write down things that have come to your mind after this conversation, and think about where you're spending your time and what alternatives are there to where you're spending time. What do you want to do and what do you want to stop doing? What are you not doing that you want to do? You might not even want to do it, but it's your responsibility. You had the kids, you got married, you have a job, the car needs its oil changed. There are things you got to do and there's things you want to do. Everybody's got time to do what they want, not what they should. And you've got to sit down and think about those. And a lot of it is in business. It's people, you hired the wrong people. They're not doing it. They're just not doing as much as it. You've got to get a better person, or you didn't train them, or you weren't clear with them about their responsibility. So next thing it ends up on you all the time because they don't do it well. You have to do it over. It's I said the best thing you can do is you want to get better in anything is just sit and think about it. What am I not happy about? How am I going to change this? And you stopping doing things for you is going to be hard too, because you kind of like it because it's, turning on the telly and watching some nonsense. So we like that. It's like potato chips. We like them. They're not good for us.
In moderation.
They're going to bite you later.
And so I guess using the framework.
You got to be serious about it's about you and your family. And you want that to turn out as well as it can, and how you spend your time will have a lot to do with that.
Through knowledge, experience, and exposure.
Absolutely. You already know if after we hang out, if you sit down and think that thing, you're going to think of things today, tomorrow, and the next day. You're going to, oh yeah, that's one, because we talked about it. When you talk about things, that's why I tell people have conversations. Even with your kid, have a family conversation, sit and talk about this concept of doing things now so we'll be happier later. And doing things now so you'll be more knowledgeable later. So you'll have a better life later. So you'll have a better health later. It's all what you do today may not be fun, but it's fun when you get there. Exercise, who likes it? Nobody, but I still, I don't want to be in a wheelchair or a walker, or you see people walking around bent over that are not that old. And that's because they're not taking care of themselves. Let me tell you, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. People that drink too much, they eat too much, they can't, you got to control yourself. You got to feed your brain instead of your mouth.
Oh, brilliant. So listen, Lee, in the consciousness of time, it'd be a cruel irony if we ran over talking about time management and discipline.
That's all right, I'm retired, but you think about these things and start to write down your thoughts just as they come to you. Get a pad and just every time you have a thought, write it down. Then the next few weeks start working on them. Just can't do them all right now, what comes to mind, but just write them down. Then you can look back at them and say, oh yeah, I thought about doing that. I thought about doing
So
that.
get them out of your head, and then
Yeah, I need to stop doing this.
Mm, brilliant.
The clock's running. It's your clock.
Doesn't wait for no man. It's yeah, indeed. Listen, Lee, it's fascinating listening and sharing from your experiences. Just as a nod to those who are watching or listening, where can we get the books? Which other books have you got? I can see them in the back there, but people listening on audio, where can we connect or find out more about the work?
Everything is on my website, 𝐂𝐻𝐶ockerell.com. All and how you can get there, published in the UK as well. I have a podcast called Creating Disney Magic. It's 15 minutes every Tuesday. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. I have a subscription, Cockerell Academy, which has 10 courses, and a call with me once a month, which is $400 a year or $40 a month. You can go there and find out what we're doing, what's available, if you want it or you don't want it. If you don't want to join the Cockerell Academy, then listen to the podcast. There's 450 of them already published. We've been doing it for 9 years. We talk about leadership, management, customer service. We talk about anxiety. We talk about depression. We talk about everything, raising your kids, setting a good example, being a good role model. We talk about everything, but it's only 15 minutes, so people like it because it's quick and to the point. Somebody say, if you want to save time, get to the point.
Brilliant. I think that might be the title of the video. If you want to save time.
Yeah, it could be. Get to the point.
I like that. Listen, Lee, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again for sharing some time with us today and joining us.
I was in London just 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did a workshop for IT Nation. It was 300 IT people that have their own businesses.
Right.
My grandson went with me. That's another thing. I take my grandkids all through the years on a business trips with me, one at a time. We had a great time. We saw London again, and we had a good time together. He was 13 the last time I took him. This time he's 27. So.
Oh wow.
We had a great time.
Yeah. Well, if next time you're over, we're based up in Sheffield, right in the middle of England. So if you come up north.
We'll see.
We'll see you there, I hope.
All right. Take care.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.